Hey guys, one of the first things I want to kind of do is look at numbers and stuff like that. A lot of times, most sites aren't even aware of like where the numbers are pulled from or how to get them. One of the things I like about a site that's working on improvement is they're on top of their numbers. You can tell literally by the rate at which they can go in and pull the numbers. So if you have a site that's pulling numbers weekly, daily, even like hourly, if you will, you could tell that they really care about improvement and they're going into their system and they're trying to diagnose it and find out what's wrong, what's right. They're trying to find out like, hey, go do this PAP. Let's see if the PAP changes the number. If not, we know we need to fix something. So those are the good sites. If you see sites that are pulling numbers quarterly or yearly, that's normally a site that's doing something because they have to. There's no really intrinsic value in that. So what I'm going to do really quickly is kind of give a quick basic of where to kind of find these numbers in the back end in RPMS and kind of look at them in iCare. And then hopefully we'll make some videos on problem solving. So let's say we wanted to look at your numbers for HIV. So I'm going to go into this test server. So there probably will be like 0 HIV tests entered for this. So just kind of let you guys know that. But I'm going to go in and take a look. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do an up hat CRS. And that's a jump to kind of get me closer to the menus I want. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to use the latest logic. I'm going to use number 6. Alright, cool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a report, RPT. And I'm going to run that report, LOC local. Okay, and I'm going to do it community selected because I want to choose my communities. And you could do other ones, you could do all and everything. But I'm going to hand pick my selected measures, so SEL. And now what you have is all the measures that are pulled from your system. You know, a lot of these are GPRA measures. So what we're going to do is we're just kind of scroll down here until we see HIV. So here, right here, you have the HIV screening 45. So a lot of sites are pretty slick at per se doing the HIV prenatal test, but they're not too good at testing anybody once in a lifetime. So I'm going to go ahead and select 45, and then I'm going to quit out of here. I actually have it selected now. I had a little asterisk next to it. And I'm just going to enter that first screen, and I'm going to go to the GPRA year, which is July 1st to June 30th, number 3. I'm going to go 2012, and that would be kind of like last year, because we're actually in GPRA year 2013. And I'm going to run it against 2010, and then I'm going to do it for my community. This is taxonomy that I already set up, like in QMan. So you guys should already have this. Somebody, I guarantee it, your site's run this before. And I'm going to do all API visit locations, and then no, I don't want a list of the patients. And Indian, Alaska Native, I kind of want to zero in on my population, not our non-Bens. And then I'm just going to go ahead and print a screen. So this might take a second. And boom, there it is. It comes up. So the first thing you're going to get is like kind of like a bunch of logic and stuff like that. So if you're ever building these things in like reminders and you want to see what it's doing, or you have any questions about, well, what's the logic behind it, it's all right here. We get that a lot. People say, I want to know exactly what the logic is before we do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of start entering through all this stuff, and you kind of get like a little dummy report here on like if you're doing it on depression. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start entering through. There's that logic I was talking about. All pregnant active clinical patients is one of the denominators. All patients screened for HIV, etc., etc. So it's showing you codes that they're looking at for the taxonomies. And what I'm going to do is kind of go down until I get to like a GPRA number. So here is our GPRA numbers for our prenatals right here, and I just kind of go until I see these brackets that says GPRA. And here's where we are. We have 6 pregnant prenatal women, and we had 6 HIV tests performed. That's 100%. You know, pretty cool. Last year we had 12, 10, and the year before that 11 and 3. So we're definitely getting better at getting that information entered. So then I kind of go along, and now I'm looking at the user population. Now look at this. We have 13 to 64-year-olds. We have 582 of these patients, but only 11 have had that test. So this is where we have some concern. This is where we can get a lot of work done, a lot of improvement work that we're trying to, quality improvement stuff that we're working on. This is great. I mean, you have a number that's literally 1.9. You could definitely make some gains just by doing a good chunk, going out and screening like, 20 or 30 people. You're going to raise that number up quite quickly. So this is where it is. This is how you kind of identify and find that information and in CRS. Okay, again, we could do the same exact thing for like our chlamydia screen. So you would just simply go right back in. I just entered through real quick, and then I'll do a local. I'll say community-based, and I'll do selected measures. And then what I'll do is I'll just kind of enter down until I see that actual chlamydia testing, number 48. Same thing, just run through it, run it, see where you're at, know where you're at, and then you start saying, okay, next person who does a test, let me know, let me go see if that number's gone up. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is go into iCare, and I'm going to kind of quickly take a look at a panel, and I'm just going to show you guys where you can quickly extract information at a panel level, at a provider level, at a whole entire clinic level. So just pick a panel for starts, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and it's going to generate my patient list. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here because I don't want to, even though they're scrambled, you can still. So yeah, like I was saying, even though they're kind of scrambled, you still kind of tell just by the way the names are. They just scramble them up, first and last name. So I don't want to be doing that and putting those names out there. So real quick, this is my patient list. This is the first thing that you get. You could actually customize this and change it so you have certain information. I have my designated primary care providers. I can kind of tap this button, get all my blanks, see who has them, who doesn't. I can just pull out this information just for an individual provider per se, just by stacking. I just want Joshua, and now I have just him. But here's a button I really like. What I like to do is there's the National Measures tab right over here, and that kind of goes into how all your measures are and how you're doing. You could actually go into that tab and make a template or go change your layout. You go here to National Measures and then change your layout and have just the measures you want. So have just HIV or chlamydia. But better yet, I'm going to go in here and kind of look at how I'm doing for that whole entire population as a whole. So I'm going to hit this button. And what that's going to do is pull up that whole panel that I selected. Now remember, you can select panels based on just a single provider if you want. And then you can look at those numbers. And then now you have kind of a way of making like report cards, if you will. So what this does is this opens up this kind of handy little, you have all your measures. Everything that the CRS is kind of measuring, you have the numerator and denominator right there. So you can kind of tell quickly at a glance how you're doing. So you can go through the different types of measures. So the developmental measures that you would have, here's an HIV screening. There it is, 187 out of 4, and then and that's a 2.1% for that population in that place. So these guys have a lot of room for improvement. So you can see everything. You can look in here and do your alcohol, your depression, all your GPRA measures. You could scroll down, and I believe the chlamydia one is down here a little bit lower. There's that prenatal one. So this population had one pregnant person, and they haven't screened them yet. And this is current. This is as of today. So I'm kind of looking down a little bit until I kind of run into it. If you guys see it out there in video land, just let me know. Probably get all the way down to the end and find it. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. Look at that. So here's some other tests. As you can see, 17 and 1 chlamydia testing female, 16 to 25. So there's 17 in this certain town in this population, and only 1 has been tested. And we have also some other STD tests down here. So there you go. There you have it. So with just this information, like I could quickly pull this out for just this panel, for just this provider, or just this community. And I can go over here and tap an Excel spreadsheet, and this is actually going to throw this Excel spreadsheet, whatever I highlight in here. So if I highlight all of this, it's going to throw all that into an Excel spreadsheet, looking just like that. And now I have kind of like a provider report card. Just on a side note, just for you guys who are into the quality assurance stuff and quality improvement, in iCare there's this really cool feature where you can go over here and you can hit the IPC tab, and then you can pull up your provider information, and actually you could scroll through here If you look, you have a provider, one of the providers right here, and then if I come down a little bit, I have the next provider. So a lot of these are the IPC measures, but there's some good measures on there, and you can see quickly at a glance who's making what, and you actually can do exactly the same thing I was saying earlier, is you could quickly come in here and highlight a bunch of that, and then create your own, export it to Excel and create your own little provider report cards. Alright, so now that I have data, it's important to do something with that data. I think this is the #1 area where we fail everybody, constantly day in and day out. How come our cars have better dashboards, I always like to say, than what we have? And we need to know what we're doing if we ever want to improve. So we need that constant feedback, and it needs to be as dynamic as possible. So what I'm going to do really quickly is jump in here and kind of show you how to chart this out. Super easy, super fast, just utilizing basically Word. So I'm going to goof around and change the margins up a little bit. So I just basically opened up a Word document, and what I'm going to do is go in here and hit Insert, Chart, and then I'm going to go for a line chart, line graph, whatever you want to call it. And then it automatically starts giving you this information. This is what I think is really slick. So let's say we were looking at the HIV, so this is what I'll call HIV screen, and then what I'm going to do is get rid of this information, and then I'm going to go SEP, OCT, and then with that hopefully I have enough to kind of carry it along, and then I can grab this corner and carry this down, and then keep grabbing this. So let's say I have some data now to enter, and I believe that first month score was 1.9 if I remember correctly. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in there, 1.9. And then let's say we did a couple of these. We started going through and started pulling the data monthly, kind of just looking at, seeing where we're at, and I'd go along and start entering the data. Alright, so let's do 4.8. And then you see where I'm kind of going with this, 6.9. Alright, and then we got a pretty good jump right here, and then now we're kind of trucking along here with our data. So then I come over here, and you can kind of see real quickly what's going on, and then I can kind of goof around with this. So here's the part where I like to say that we're gonna, we get sexy with the data a little bit. So then not only can I do that, and I have a chart, and I can kind of see that we're increasing or decreasing. So going up is good, we're increasing our percentage rates and stuff like that, a percentage of people getting screened. And we can see that's going a long time, and then we can ask questions like, well, what the heck happened right here? And then you can go ahead and annotate it if you'd like. But let's say I don't like this color, I want to make it a different color. I can just quickly come up here and kind of change things around. This is highly customizable. You guys can add data points, you can right click on things, you can add the data labels if you'd like. You can go then and change that and put like the nurse visit there or something is when you implemented that, and that's why we had a good jump, or that's when we got a new lab director. So this is the important part, what to do with the data when you get it. Now remember, in iCare we can make it individualized, so we could go strictly for a provider and now we have something to be transparent about, put up on the board and say, this is how we're doing, this is how we're doing clinic to clinic, this is how we're doing unit to unit, nurse to nurse, provider to provider. So I hope that kind of gives you kind of a start to finish on just looking at numbers and measures and what to do with them.